Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Last week we had an unfortunate incident whereby girls in Mwingi Medical Training Institute were denied entry into their education facility simply because they had adorned the Islamic headscarf, usually referred to as the hijab. This is an issue that received a lot of wide media coverage, and unfortunately we are having a recurrence of such incidents more and more and more, which brings us to the question, what is the issue with the hijab? And tonight we are privileged to have with us Sister Shuweikha Khamis Ali, who is also the chairperson of the Volunteers in Development Network, which is a global network that deals with issues to do with women and the girl child. Sister Shuweikha, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, for the benefit of our viewers, most of the time there's always a reference to the hijab, and most of the people do not seem to understand exactly what is the hijab. If you could enumerate for our viewers at home, what is the hijab?
Thank you very much, Brother Salim. Hijab is an Arabic word that means partition. It's like a screen or a barrier between a mahrim and a non-mahrim. So hijab, it's not just the scarf or it's not just the clothing. It's the whole presentation. The way you talk, the way you present yourself, the way you dress up, the way you interact with people, the way you sound, the way you should not be attractive to the men or to the other side of sex. And hijab is not just on ladies only, also on the men's side. Hijab is the principle of modesty in Islam. It includes behavior as well as dressing up for both male and female. Yeah.
Well, there seems to be more insistence on the hijab only towards the females, yet you're telling us that the hijab is a concept that should apply to both the males and the females. Why is it the case?
It's the traditional way of thinking. Traditionally, we've mixed up religion and Islam. But in Islam, in the Quran, there's ayah 24:30. It tells the men, it says, say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty. That will make greater purity of them. And Allah is well acquainted with all that they do. And the next ayah to that, that's when it mentions the female. It says the same thing, but first it mentioned the men, and then later on it's the women. Yeah.
Now, for the context of our show tonight, we will maybe stick to the definition that has been present in almost the entire society, whereby the hijab has been reduced to the head covering of the women, because we'd like to understand certain aspects that emanate from this kind of thinking. If you look globally, you'll realize that there are many facets of the hijab. For example, the way the hijab is adorned in the Hindu-Muslim world is not the same way as it is adorned in the African Muslim world, not the same way it is adorned in the European world. What is there a standard to the hijab, or the hijab is just open to interpretation and everybody can put on their preferred form of hijab?
Every tribe, every culture have their own. It depends on where you come from. Hijab, provided you are covered, provided you don't attract the opposite sex. So the way you present yourself, like the Asians or the Indians, they wear sarwal khamis, provided their body shape is not protruded or the hair is scarf. Okay, there are some who will just keep the head scarf on the shoulder. That is wrong. That is not right. You should cover your hair. You should cover. The only part that should be open is the face and the hands and the feet. That's it. Otherwise, the whole part. Whether you use humus, whether you use we call buibui, the traditional buibui we used to use before in the Coast Province. We can use the niqab. You can use whichever way, but then all different tribes, different scholars have different interpretations. But at the end of it, the face, the hands, and the feet should be open.
Okay, we have seen the influence of all these cultures into our own local culture, whereby even in Kenya, you see the interpretation of the hijab being a variety. So do we have a certain standard that we can adhere to, or is everybody open to their own interpretation?
Everyone is open, but the color should not be attractive. The color, and the most important, it should not protrude your body, or it should not be fitting to your body. Yeah, that's the most important. Otherwise, you can wear a black, a blue, just be modest. That's the most important thing.
Well, here we are talking about the hijab. And the question that comes into mind first is, why the insistence of the hijab? What is the importance of the hijab to the Muslim woman?
To a Muslim woman, to every woman. Yeah. The most important is because it protects you. Protects you from the opposite sex, protects you from abuse, protects you from the impression of the people, the way they respond to whatever you are asking for. When you are dressed up properly and modest, you get a better response than the person who is open and half naked maybe. Yeah.
Well, as we look at that importance, there seems to be more insistence, by the Muslims that they're even ready to die, they're even ready to do everything just because of this hijab. So does it go beyond just getting respect out of people, getting protection, or is there more to it than this?
It's your dignity as a woman. There's no religion that gives a woman the best position than Muslims. We are respected. The way we live, the way we react, the way we behave, and the way you present yourself. You build your dignity. You build yourself in such a way that you achieve your goals in a respected way and in the way Allah has taught us.
Well, the Kenyan constitution, the newly promulgated constitution, guarantees the right to expression and also the right to worship. And we look at the hijab as one form of worship for Muslim women, and for that matter also the men. Now, when Muslims get denied the right to practice the hijab, do you look at it in terms of a violation of their rights, or do you look at it as if it's something else?
We have a very, very difficult situations in several places. I myself have experienced so many rejects or behaviors that I'm not comfortable with. You go for a meeting, or you are maybe a board member somewhere, and then a lady will come at the end of it, will address the chairman. Chairman, can you repeat and speak Swahili because of such and such a lady? Just because I'm wearing a buibui or I'm covered up myself, they assume I'm not educated, or I'm illiterate, or I'm dull, I didn't go to school. It doesn't mean covering your hair, I've covered my brains, or it doesn't mean I didn't go to school. So those are the things that we face here. Although the Constitution says we have a right, it's a human right, or women, we Muslims or any other religion have the right to worship any religion you have. But the community, the society, through the past history, they still they haven't accepted that the hijab should be the same, that they should not treat us differently from other women.
Well, maybe do you think that this is not a case of the hijab, but simply a case of the way Muslims are being treated in this country?
We can say both. We can say not just the religion, it's also the culture. Yeah, we can say, because there are other issues. Okay, like the case in school in Kenya High, I can give you an example of Kenya High. They refused the girls to wear hijab, but they will allow them to go to pray, they allow them for taraweh, they provide proper food during Ramadan. Okay, the parents contribute, but they will cook for them and they will provide a separate place for them to eat. So it's not just the religion. I believe it's not just the education system or the education employees who are there, or the staff, the teachers, the management. It's the whole society. The notion they have about the hijab. Okay, there's the history of previously, our culture or the Muslim society, the Arab culture, the women never used to go to school. Also the Coast Province, the Swahilis, we never used to go out. The men are the ones, the boys are the ones who are always educated and things like that. So from that notion previously up to now, they believe that our women are still not educated.
Well, if you look at the hijab issue, it's not only local, but now it's become a global issue, because we know that Islam has its wings all over the whole world. It has made inroads into almost all societies globally. And I'd like to take an example of France, whereby in 2004, they went ahead and banned all sorts of religious exhibitionism in public institutions. And then fast forward to 2015, they banned all forms of the niqab, that is the face veil, in any public places. What are your views about this kind of legislation that comes from a society that considers itself as modern?
To me, France, is an intellectual miscalculation. Example of France, I mean, to pass on judgment against another religion, that's wrong. And it's also an outright cultural imperialism. Okay, we cannot say the whole world, oh, global. France is a bit different. Okay, in Europe, if we compare France and let's say UK, or we compare with America or any other country, France is too extremism on the side of the women. And it's not just the hijab. You will notice, first of all, there's a history in the culture. The men, it's like, unless you have many women, or you are better off when you attract more women. You are more men than the others. Their culture is, it's like a man is a sex symbol to attract women. So if women are not attracted, or if women don't look presentable to attract them, it's against their culture. It's against their manhood. It's like you've removed the power of the men, because now they cannot approach the woman with hijab. The woman is protected, and there's a barrier between them. So it's like you're not letting them behave the way they want to behave. Yeah. So it's not just the hijab; it's the whole culture in them, the imperialism in them. Because even their women, among other countries, we can compare. Let's say in UK, there is a prime minister. There have been a prime minister who have been elected by the people themselves, who have elected a woman prime minister. But France, never. America also, they've never done that. Yeah. So it's not just to the Muslim women, it's their women, the way they the way they perceive the women, they still don't give them their rights properly. Yeah.
Well, as you have highlighted, it seems that most of these countries do have a cultural issue and all that. But they have given a counter-argument. And quickly, because of time, maybe if you can highlight this, they've given a counter-argument whereby they're saying that, look, as much as we have banned A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, but we have not stopped people from practicing their religions in their own privacy. What is your view about that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They are not just attacking the hijab. Okay, they would support other things, like the way they let them in workplaces. Okay, like in UK, in a workplace, our workplace, we have a special room for prayers. When you go to hospitals, all the hospitals in UK, there's a room for prayer, Islamic prayer room, and they've where you can do your ablution. We perform our prayers properly, and it's maintained and clean all the time. Yeah. When you go to Heathrow Airport, the same thing. Okay. When you compare those countries where the Catholics or the religion, the strong where it really started,
Yeah.
compared to like here in Kenya. Here in Kenya, even our workplaces, we have no place to pray. We are not given opportunity to pray. Okay, it just happens that the dhuhri swala, it's our lunch break that we go. But there, even if it's Asri, I used to be a manager in a pharmaceutical company. We used to give people break to go and break their fast on Maghrib time. Even if your shift is during that time, I will make sure I give all the Muslims 10 minutes to go and break their fast, just to break their fast, pray and come back to work. While even the milk or the dates were provided by the company, and the owner of the company was not a Muslim.
Well, it seems that some of these societies have really made a lot of improvements on how they treat Muslim communities.
It's their culture. It's they're open. They're open to different religions. They are open. They're following the constitution. The system is right.
Well, we shall be taking a break. Just hold on to that thought. And when we come back, we'll be looking at other countries that have made similar strides in giving Muslims a lot of rights to practice their religions, but yet still they do have a problem of the hijab. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show. And as a result of the actions whereby Muslim students in Mwingi Medical Training Institute were denied entry into the institution simply because they were adorned in hijab, tonight we are privileged to be hosting Sister Shueikha Khamis Ali, who is the chairperson of Volunteer in Development, to discuss the hijab issue. Sister Shueikha, we have noted that a lot of countries have made a lot of strides in giving Muslims various rights, but still we do note that the same countries, again, as a matter of irony, they still have a problem with hijab. And I take note of countries that are of a Muslim majority, countries like Tunisia, which have gone ahead to ban the hijab in their public educational institutions. Why do you think they would, on one hand, give a lot of rights to the Muslims, but on the other hand, deny them certain rights?
There are very few countries. Actually, it's not just the whole country, like in Tunisia. Or there are a few instances where the country, it all depends on the system and the political situation of certain countries. There are some countries that are open and they are in advancement with issues on women.
Yes.
Yeah. So like in Tunisia, you find that they are not as advanced as compared to Turkey, compared to like, especially on the women's side and the Islamic side of it. Turkey have had, like I've mentioned in UK, they have had a prime minister who has been a woman a whole term. Turkey, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, the same thing. And these are Muslim countries, and they have been following the Muslim Sharia, like in Pakistan. And okay, the prime minister might not be covering the headscarves or hijab, as most of the scholars have accepted, but to them, they see it's the right way. Yeah. So you find instances where there are certain things which are followed Islamically in Tunisia, where the certain things, the Muslim women in Tunisia who wear the hijab, they just wear the scarf mostly. Yeah, the other side, they don't wear the black buibui or veil, but they will dress up decently so that they don't protrude their shape or they are not attractive. Very few instances where they don't follow the hijab.
Well, in countries that have undergone a lot of political turmoil, usually when there's a crackdown on political dissent, they usually crack down on almost everything that they find to be a symbol of that dissent. As a woman, do you think the hijab is a symbol of dissent, or it can be used as a symbol of dissent in political matters?
It depends, but very few instances. Mostly the countries that have had political turmoil, they haven't interfered so much. It's the women or the society that have moved from their country to another country, now going to that other country. And the only country which they have rejected it as a society, as the whole country, the people of their country, is France. While most of the foreigners who've moved, let's say, to UK or to Denmark or to Finland, and they've been given a very good respect.
So in your statement, you are simply trying to affirm that the hijab is not a threat to any social order in any country.
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, if the hijab is not a threat to any social order in any country, let's move back home here and look at the issue that was happening at Mwingi Medical Training College. Why would the school or the administration of the institution view it as a threat to social order?
As I mentioned before, the problem is not the whole school or the whole system or the whole education system. Just a few individuals who are not practicing or who are intellectually miscalculate. That's what I'm telling you, intellectually. Just a few weeks back, I was in an inter-religious conference, and we demonstrated about the hijab. We talked about the hijab, Muslim and other religions. We were Muslim, Christians, Catholics, Shias. We were all there together. And some of these questions came up, and we asked the fathers who were there, the Catholic fathers, and I told them, okay, what's the difference between a sister who is wearing a headscarf and me who am wearing? It's just the color difference. Yeah. So why are we not given the same reception? Why aren't we being respected? Why aren't we being given a dignity like the way you respect a sister or a sister from Catholic Church? And he was supporting us as Muslims. He said it's there in the Bible that we should cover ourselves. So the people who are against it, or the society who's against it, they don't know what is in their Bible. They don't know, or they are not in the intellect on some issues in the Bible. It's like they pick and choose what they want to believe and what they want to trust, or to, because it's, how can they respect a lady who's wearing their scarf as a sister and not respect me?
Well, an argument has always been forwarded that these are institutions that expect uniformity of all actions, uniformity of representation. That is why there is a uniform that is prescribed for the students or for the people who go to these institutions. And the question they always want to ask is, why do the Muslims want to be different from everybody else? Why can they not adhere to the uniform of the school? Why do they want to add something extra to it?
As I say, there are just a few who are behaving that way. And mostly it's because of the sponsors. Most of these schools were sponsored by the religious bodies previously. And it's been like that previously. And they were given extra powers. Because if the Constitution says we have the right of worship, the school's rules should not overrule the Constitution. The Constitution is always above the rule of any other rules in the country. So why should they? The mistake we make is us as Muslim parents, when we admit our children to those schools, we agree to sign on in their school admission form. That is wrong. Please, mothers and fathers, let us all be aware. We should not agree to sign any documentation to allow our children to go to Sunday masses or not to wear hijab. That is where we go wrong. Most of us are not aware there's a ruling, and in the Constitution we have the right for all these things. Okay, there have been several cases with regard to this in Mwingi. Okay, apart from Mwingi, there was a case in Nyeri. There was a previous case, Kenya High. In fact, I highly appreciate Dr. Anissa. She has been struggling to make this hijab to be accepted all over the country. And I appreciate all others who have been doing similar work previously. We have really moved quite far with it because of them. And although at that particular time it was more hard, at least now we are being heard. We are together. As all Muslims, we come together. Us, Supkem, Jamia Mosque, and different other bodies, we all come together, and we are planning to submit the report to the CS so that they implement to all the headmasters and the head teachers of different schools in the whole country.
Well, could we be having a case of whereby, as the Muslim community, we are not in touch with the realities that we have? Because, as you have mentioned, in the Constitution, rightfully we are guaranteed certain rights about freedom of worship, freedom of expression, and all that. But yet when you come to the ground, the situation is very different. That teachers, headmasters, headmistresses, they can always go against the Constitution and nothing happens to them. Shouldn't we be changing our approach?
Yeah, I think we should be more united. The problem is when I, as an individual, I go to school, I admit my child, it's just me and the teacher, me and the head teacher or the deputy who's there. And I don't come back and talk to my leaders, Islamic leaders or community leaders or friends, the experience I've had in that school. You see, and most of us, we were not aware what is going on. The teachers were taking advantage of the situation, and because of the sponsors, they had more rights to them, they were owning them, they were the ones controlling them. Even the board, the PTA board, has no rights compared to the sponsors who are there. So I think we should come closer, and our preachers, our sheikh, please, let's inform our people during da'was, everywhere we go, to inform that we have the right of worship. Let's not agree to sign on or whatever documentation when we're admitting our children. And we should not take our children. The problem we have, when you're being rejected, you take your child from that school, fear that your child must be mistreated. We take our child and we go and pay to private school, and it's very expensive. We have the right to the same schools as any other Kenyan has. So we should argue and make sure our children go to the same schools they've been given or allocated by the country, so that we change the system. We have to start somewhere. Let's not just say, no, it's been there. Let's start somewhere. I can do the change today. Tomorrow, another parent to come, and the day after. In 4 or 5 years' time, we'll be somewhere different. Yeah.
Making reference to the hijab case that has been in court for almost now about 8 years, do you think, as Kenyan Muslims, can we trust the courts to guarantee us our rights? Because we have this case that has been going on almost forever in court, and there seems we are not getting any tangible judgment from the courts.
It's not the court. The court has given a ruling. It's not upon the court. It's us Muslims. It's the organization they are dealing, or like the institutions, or the education system itself, you see. So after the court has given us a ruling, it's us to make sure the implementation is being done, whatever the court has agreed to do. Yeah. So it's us, our bodies, the SUPKEM, the Jamia Mosque, the Muslim Education Council. It's us to insist and to make these institutions, like the Mwingi case, the medical institutions, the education institutions, the police. And this is not just the education system. It's also, if let's say today I want to apply for electricity, I go to power, to their office, just to fill a form or to apply for my electricity. The impression or the reception that I would be given when I wear my hijab and the reception of another woman is different. They usually give us a negative attitude. It's like you are nothing, or you don't know how to read, or you'll disturb me to fill the form or to explain to you, you've come to disturb me. You see, that attitude, it's the whole society, the whole country. So it's not, after the court has ruled, it's not just the education system, it's the whole society. What we should do, or what we are trying to do right now with my organization, is I'm trying to make people aware by doing, let's say, events or demonstration, or with, let's say, the media. First of all, the media has the concept that the women with hijab, it's like they're not educated, or they're nothing. They have that negative concept. Yeah. So let's, all of us together. This is not just a one person or one organization to do something. It has to be all of us, wherever you are. Try to keep your self-respect. If you respect yourself with the hijab and you're firm, others will respect you. The Muslim and the non-Muslims will respect you. So let's all work together and make this aware, make the public aware. I've tried to conduct some events, some walks, some shows with the Nairobi University, with Egerton University, with Moi University, so that we make people aware that the hijab, by covering our head or our body, it doesn't mean we've covered our brains. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let's all work together to change the attitudes, so that wherever we go, we're given a positive attitude.
Well, viewers, we are taking a break, and remember, tonight we are discussing the hijab question as a result of the incident in Mwingi Medical Training Teachers College, whereby Muslim students were denied entry into the institution simply because they were adorning the Muslim headscarf, which is referred to as the hijab. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the show, and tonight, as a result of the incident in Mwingi Medical Teachers Training College, whereby Muslim girls were denied entry into the institution because of adorning the hijab, we are discussing the hijab issue, and we are privileged to be hosting Sister Shuweiha Hamis Ali, who is also the chairperson of Volunteers in Development. Sister Shuweiha, I've realized that you are actually very passionate about the issue of the hijab, and I get concerned that as passionate as you are, and as passionate as the entire Muslim community in Kenya is about the hijab, yet we have not protected the hijab from misuse. What is the community doing to make sure that the hijab is not misused?
Thank you very much, Brother Salim. There are different people who you abuse. In every situation, there will be people who abuse the situation. There will be people who are taking advantage positively. Okay, we have issues like people use hijab to go and get their own personal gains. There are places where we are not supposed to wear hijab. There are notions and there are impressions where, like a Swahili woman, our Muslim woman maybe is more attractive than other women, so the other women will cover themselves to pretend they are Muslims while they are not Muslims. It's very difficult to completely stop it, but we try as much as possible at least to stop the abuse. Most of the Muslim leaders, especially in Mombasa, have come together with the security and the police to curb or to remove the image that's been there. I can give you a very bad example, like at the Casablanca around there. We are trying to remove all the women who wear the buibui to pretend they are Swahilis or they are originally from Mombasa. So it's not, you cannot just remove in one day. We can, okay, the police or the leaders would go and we sit and they agree, they go and remove, and then after a few months, others come back and they do the same thing. So it should be a continuous thing. And all of us should work together with the community. It's not just the police, or it's not just the sheikhs or the imams or only that. Please, let's all work together. When you see such incidences happen, wherever you are, if you can help, or if you can call the sheikh or the chief or whoever is in authority, identify and tell them the situation that is there. If they can do something about it, let's all remove. This is not just a one-person thing.
Well, gender activists have cited the hijab as a symbol of oppression of the Muslim woman. They say that the hijab denies the Muslim woman freedom of expression so that she's able to exhibit her beauty and her real personality. Do you agree with such sentiments? I
don't agree, but that's the media negativity they have and the public that are non-Muslims. That's how they use that. You see, if it's a negative, I mean, on women, is this standard only here or only on Muslim women's? How about the other non-Muslim women's? What can we say about America? Why haven't they produced a woman leader, a woman president or prime minister? Why not? So does it mean it's only the Muslims? How about if we give an example of the countries that has produced women Muslim leaders? Yeah. So there's always double standards here just to suit their image and their needs. And most of these media, they are selling. So they will, of course, lavish whatever they sell so that they earn their daily bread. Yeah.
Very interesting times we're living in, and I want to refer to the issue of my choice.
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
My dress, my choice. And when we were having this issue of my choice, my dress, everybody was up in arms because some certain ladies' rights had been violated because they had been deemed by society as having been on the streets half naked, so society took it upon themselves to correct the situation. Yet you have, on the flip side of it, a Muslim woman who wants to cover, and society is saying, no, you cannot cover. What are your thoughts on this?
The highly anticipated campaign on my dress, my choice, that has really given an impact on the society, especially here in Kenya. Okay, let me go back slightly. Few centuries ago, when the Westerners came to Africa, to invade Africa, they found several tribes that were not wearing anything. At that particular time, the Western forced those African tribes to dress up and cover themselves. And that they called it civilization at that particular time. And they gave us, our people, the African, as we were primitive in those days. So the Western came and removed the primitive situation. But currently, now, the same Western people are the ones who don't dress up properly, inappropriate. They move around half naked. Yeah. So right now, they are the ones who are primitive by doing the same thing they did before. And now us in Kenya, it's so sad. We are also following the same footstep. Does it mean we just close our eyes blindly and follow anything the Western people tell us or they do, we follow? Now, at that particular time, a few centuries ago, we agreed to dress up. Now, we agreed to undress. So are we having double standards here in Kenya? Surely our women, how do you expect to be respected if you yourself are attracting those men or the opposite sex? And if I give you an example, I give you a simple example. I give you a sweet that is covered with a cellophane paper. And then I give you a sweet that is open. Which one will you choose? My brother Salim. If I pick a sweet on the floor that is open, that's not covered, and I pick a sweet that is covered, very wrapping, beautiful, stylish, covering paper, or even but it's wrapped, which one are you going to choose? The one that is covered or the one that is open?
Definitely the one that is covered.
Yes. So have they, after all this campaign they did from 2014 up to now, are you telling me there are no raping cases anymore? Are you telling me there are no abuse in the matatus or in the bus or in public places? By them not wearing or wearing a miniskirt or mini dress, has it stopped? Have they gained their respect? Are they dignified now, better than before? So what are we doing? Where are we focusing? Where are we going with all these movements? My sisters and brothers here in Kenya, the non-Muslims, do we know what we are doing? Can we sit down and focus and think, is this the right thing? All these campaigns, all the activists, the women activists, I think we should go back to our religious books and go and read your Bibles properly.
Well, we're living in an age that is posing a lot of new challenges. And one of the major challenges that we're being faced with is the security challenge. And what has been happening is that fingers have been pointed to us as Muslims that, hey, you have become part and parcel of the security challenges that we are facing. So as regards the adornment of the hijab, and with this specifically, I want to look into the issue of the full face veil. What do you think is the space of the face veil in light of the security challenges that we are being faced with?
These are just a few cases that are there. The security cases, how many incidences have occurred in different countries or even here in Kenya that are not Muslims? Yeah, just because it's someone wearing, or someone pretends to wear a hijab, it doesn't mean all the incidents are terrorist or all we are insecure because of the hijab. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, there are situations or there are places we don't need to cover our face, but it all depends on yourself. Let's be honest. Let's be honest with and let's have a proper iman and faith and follow the Quran. Yeah, let's not abuse these situations where you go to certain places, you cover your face. You go to certain places, you uncover your face. Let's be firm with whatever we're doing, and let's be honest to Allah.
Yeah, we have been accused of being very sensational as a community, and almost all the time we are being told that we like putting things out of proportion, that it's only a small incident that happens, then we will try to make it look as big as it shouldn't be. And on this one, I'd like to refer to instances whereby we have, yes, been denied our rights, but people say that we put it out of context. Do you think that is the case, or do you think we rightfully get to ask for our rights?
It depends on the situation, and mostly it's the system the way it is. The system here in Kenya, it's like everything is a struggle. There's no straightforward thing. The Constitution says this, but most of the people don't follow that. Yeah. So everywhere you go, I think this is what makes other people behave and make it big. Because we expect, okay, in Europe, because if the law says you have a right of worship, or you have a right to dress the way you whichever you want. Yeah. So it's been accepted. Simple things, also on the road. You drive, you know the rule. When you go this side, you get a red, or your points has been deducted from your license. Yeah. So, and there's courtesy. You see, the problem here in Kenya, we have no courtesy. And I think in our vocabulary, there's no such word as thank you or please. The system here is different, and it's all from the culture. You can see the languages themselves. Yeah. Okay. The language, or I'm sorry to say this, maybe because I'm from the coast, it's more polite and more receptive and more open, and you will feel like talking to the person speaking from the coast, let's say. Yeah, we are more humble because of that language. But in our other sisters or our other brothers, there's no such tone in their language. So it's the way they grew up, is to be harsh, and there's no humble way of doing things. You see, so it all starts that way. So in the whole Muslim community, because we were not used to that. We were used to see things that are straightforward. It is your right, so you achieve it. But now you sit there like the one in school. It's our right to dress up the way, it's our right to practice our religion. Yeah, you see? And we're not given that right. So we have to come up and shout to make the community or the society. That's what I was saying. This hijab issue is not just the schools. It's everywhere, especially us women. We face, you men are my brothers, I don't think you face such problems. I go somewhere, someone looks at me as if, am I in the wrong place? And then another woman will be there standing, she will be given a positive feedback or whatever reception they have. But I'll be ignored. Someone will just pass me and ignore me just because I'm wearing a veil, a black veil, you see? So those are the things we face every day. We face difficulties in so many situations where professionalism is concerned. Even in promotions, you'll be in the same position for so many years. You're not being given promotion just because you're wearing a hijab or a scarf. While you, in the real sense, you perform better or more than the other person. But just because you're a Muslim. And I think this has been there from a long time ago, from our ancestors. It's like we are satisfied.
Because of our suffering, do you think that it has made us become hardcore, and we are now pushing the envelope further? Because we've had instances whereby girls have gone into the university classes in full face veils, and they have refused to reveal who they are, and the lecturers are having difficulties in knowing who the students are. Are we pushing the envelope too far?
We don't, okay, you'll sound it, oh, the other non-Muslims will sound it as if we are hardcore, but we're not hardcore. That was how it's supposed to be. They're used to us being more relaxed or more behind, or we just sit, let them do what they want to do. But now it's different. We are all educated, we all know our rights, and we see that we are being denied those rights. So by us reacting to that, they see that we are a hardcore, but we are not a hardcore. We just want to achieve what we are supposed to have in this country. We have the right just like any other Kenyan, you see. So with that, those incidences, they think we are hardcore, but with time, things will change. Let's all come together and let's be honest and truthful to our religion and follow the laws, the Sharia, will achieve, and they will respect us, especially with hijab. All the Muslim women, let's all come together and don't give up.
Well, as we move towards winding up our show tonight, we have realized that for Kenyan Muslims, the hijab is a religious necessity, whilst to the non-Muslims or to the rest of the community, they view it as a very divisive issue. What are your closing thoughts on this?
I would just like to inform or to make my non-Muslim brothers and sisters be aware that it's nothing. It's just the same way they should treat us, the same way they treat the sisters, the same way they treat the people who are not wearing hijab. We are just the same. Our brains are still functioning just like any other. Our behavior, the way we live, the way we interact, the way we work together, the way we train. In fact, we are right now, some of these issues we're facing, we're training our women, like the extremism, the counter violence, the peacekeeping, so that we interact and we work and live peacefully in harmony, all religion together, as it used to be all the years here in Kenya.
Thank you very much, Sister Shueika. Viewers, you have been listening to the discussion on the issue of the hijab as a result of what had happened at Mwingi Medical Training Institute, whereby Muslim girls had been denied entry into the institution because of adorning the hijab. To the entire community, our plea to all of you is that Muslims form a part of the society that you live in. And Muslims have always been your neighbors, your sisters, and your brothers. It is incumbent upon all of you to respect the rights of Muslims, especially as regards to how they want to represent themselves. To the Muslim community, you have an obligation to always protect your own rights and ensure that you practice your religion as it should be practiced. And remember that rights are never given, but rights have to be taken. Thank you.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.